listening to PetLifeRadio.com.
It's Oh Behave with Arden Moore, the show that teaches you how to have harmony in the household with your pets. Join Arden as she travels coast to coast to help millions better understand why cats and dogs do what they do. Get the latest scoop on famous faces, their perfectly pampered pets, and who's walking who in Rin Tin Tinseltown. From famous pet experts and best-selling authors to television and movie stars, you'll get the latest buzz from wagging tongues and tails, garner great pet tips, and have a doggone fur-flying fun time. So get ready for the pause and applause as we unleash your Oh Behave host, America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore.
Welcome to the Oh Behave show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. You think you're swamped at work? You're facing too many challenges? Well, our special guest today faces a much more different and far more dangerous definition of being swamped. That's because for 18 years, he's wrangled alligators, venomous snakes, and other not-so-nice critters deep in the Everglades Big Cypress Swamp in South Florida. That's right, we're talking jaw-crushing alligators. Now, years ago, I lived in South Florida, and I took one of those airboat rides in the Everglades and came face-to-face with alligators. I was happy to be in the boat. Now, but every day, our special guest goes nose-to-nose with these mean critters, and he now is the star of a new must-see show on National Geographic. It is aptly called Swamp Men. Please give pause and applause to one tough guy, Ed Woods. Welcome to the show, Ed.
Well, thank you very much. I'm happy to be on your show.
I'm happy you're on land. You got all your fingers?
I got all my fingers and toes. Everything's accounted for.
Awesome. Well, we're going to talk gators. We're going to get the lowdown on a place called Alligator Alcatraz and explain what the heck a nuisance gator is right after we take this commercial break. So sit and stay. We'll be right back.
Time for a pause. 4 furry ones, actually. Sit and stay. Oh Behave will be right back.
It's DesignerPetSweaters.com. Hand-knitted designer sweaters for your precious pup or cool cat. Beautiful couture patterns for your pets, including custom-knitted formal wear, casual wear, yachting, and even sports-themed. Many designer pet sweaters include feathered tammy hats, top hats, and a lot of sparkle. Each sweater includes leg loops, front paw sleeves, and leash opening. Visit DesignerPetSweaters.com to order your 4-legged fashions today. Your pets will stay warm for the winter and be runway ready. Large or small, we fit them all. DesignerPetSweaters.com.
Let's talk pets on PetLifeRadio.com. Oh Behave is back with more tail-wagging ways to achieve harmony in the household with your pets. Now, back to your fetching host, America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore.
Welcome back to the Oh Behave show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. Our special guest today is Ed Woods. Now, his last name is Woods, but his job takes him deep into the swamps in the Florida Everglades. Ed is the former director of Billy Swamp Safari. It's a park owned by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. He is also the host of an amazing Keep You on the Edge of Your Seats show on National Geographic called Swamp Men. It airs Monday nights at 10 o'clock. That's Eastern and Pacific. Now, I saw a few clips on my high-definition TV, Ed, and I got to tell you, my otherwise brave big dog Chipper saw those gators, and all of a sudden she ducked behind my legs. I mean, you really don't have a boring job.
Well, you can say it's not boring. Anytime there's a lot of danger around, it definitely is not boring.
No. I mean, you have been doing this now. I was checking out your bio. You know, you had to grow up pretty fast. Your mom passed away when you were 10, and your father passed away, and you joined the Marines. I mean, wow, you really did have to grow up fast.
I kind of grew up fast. I guess I kind of had to. I had the perfect Christian country home out in the Green Swamp growing up. And, of course, my parents were a lot older probably than normal parents. And it's just one of the things that happens. And so, yeah, I had to grow up quick.
And what the heck is a Christian country home? I don't know what that means. What do you mean? Describe it.
Oh, we grew up in the woods, way out in the green swamp. And, of course, my folks were Christian. And that's probably one of the reasons why I like to tell people I love Christmas the most. But I can remember, we had all the horses and cows and chickens and pigs, and we grew our own gardens. And I guess we grew up organic and didn't even realize it then.
You were so cool, ahead of the gang,
We were eating organic, and I guess people pay big money to do that nowadays. But back then, we were poor, and I think it was more out of necessity than it was organic living.
That's a good point. I mean, and there was an army of you guys. You were like one of 5?
Yeah, I've got 4 other brothers and sisters, and we all grew up the same way. My family, my brothers and sisters, they know the animals a lot like I do.
All right. Well, you are definitely a Dr. Doolittle that puts a capital D for danger. I mean, you could be sitting here just being one of these touristas going on one of those airboat rides, but you've been doing that. So I wanted to ask you, how in the heck did you get into being a swamp man?
Well, it's kind of funny. That's who I am. That's how I live my life. And we've done stuff with Jack Hanna and Discovery Kids and a lot of other different TV programs.
Right.
And there's a production company called Spectrum Production. And the owner of that, his name is Guy. And he does a lot of filming for these big TV programs and everything. And he came in one day and said, y'all should have your own TV show. And so he made a little pilot show of us doing our daily duties. And he submitted it to a couple of different networks, and Nat Geo Wild picked it up, and that's where you'll see Swampmen on Nat Geo Wild Swampmen.
That is so good. They can also go to swampmen.com. I think it's pretty amazing. Isn't that cool? You got your break in Hollywood in the middle of the swamp. You didn't have to hound agents. You didn't have to go on Rodale Drive. You're deep in the Everglades. Who would have thunk?
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny. That's my life, and people want to see what I do, and I'm thinking, man. Anyway, it's been a roller coaster ride, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel bad for the camera guy or gal. I mean, they don't know what you guys know about alligators. Did you lose any camera crew yet?
I tell you what, those men and women, there's a couple of them out there. There's one guy named Randy. I like to call him Biff because he looks like a Biff. There's another guy named Matt Williams. Those guys, they get right there in the danger zone, right there with us. And Horse, Guy, all of them, they get right there with us. And sometimes we have to get them out of the way or tell them run or move or all that because they have their HD cameras, I guess you call them. They're right there alongside of us, and they're definitely brave. I got to give them that, especially for something that can take your leg or arm or your life.
Oh my gosh! Well, speaking of that, now for people that love to go to Florida, there's a lot of that's a big tourist stop. Obviously, I used to live in Lantana and Lake Worth. I was a newspaper reporter for the Sun Sentinel years ago, and so all my friends and relatives would come down to Florida when everybody was freezing, and we would go, and I have taken a few of those airboat rides that you do. And I got to tell you, sometimes the two-leggers, we can mess things up, can't we? So that's why I want to, hopefully you can explain what the heck is that special breed called a nuisance gator?
Well, people, what you're talking about, people say, aren't you scared out there in the woods and in the swamp? Well, the truth is when I go into the cities and things like that, I think people should be more afraid in the cities. The urban jungle is I think where most of the danger is. But nuisance alligators. Normally, what happens is you have folks that come in and not knowing, or maybe they do know, but they'll feed the alligator and. It doesn't take very long for an alligator because their brain isn't that big. Even on the big guys, they're about the size of a marble, maybe a little bigger. But they associate food with people. And once an alligator does that, then they become a nuisance. And then the next thing you know, the small dog is getting eaten, or the child, or even full-grown adults if the alligator gets hungry enough and it's big enough. So that's how nuisance gators are created. People feed them, maybe playing and having fun, or maybe thinking they're helping the alligator. But as soon as that alligator realizes people is associated with food, then he becomes a nuisance animal.
You know, it is kind of dumb. We're supposed to have a brain bigger than the size of a marble, and you know feeding will do that. So do you ever wish you could wave a wand over us two-leggers and say, come on, guys, you're making my job a little harder?
Yeah, we're supposed to have the bigger brain, and when you talk brain size, size does matter. But I guess some people it doesn't register. But don't feed the alligators. I mean, my goodness, something that's got 80 teeth that can rip your arm off. Don't feed it. Leave it alone.
Yeah, I think I'd like to keep both of my arms if I could. It's a common question, but maybe you can help us out. What the heck is the difference between the gator and the crocodile? I mean, neither one of them I really want to come face to face with.
Well, there's a couple of differences. Alligator snouts are more narrow and longer. Crocodiles. Crocodile snouts, their nose is more narrow and longer. Because they're reptiles, they don't have sex chromosomes. And so
really?
So what determines whether they're male or female? The temperature of incubation of their eggs. And like for an alligator, I believe it's 82 to 86 degrees in temperatures are females, and from like 91 degrees to 93 degrees are males. And anything in between that, between 86 and 90, I believe is, it's half and half male, half female. But so the lower temperatures are females, the higher temperatures are males. So for crocodiles, it's the opposite. So
really?
The lower temperatures are males, and the higher temperatures are females during the incubation of their eggs while it's in their nest. So those are like some of the differences. And
which one's more dangerous, would you think?
Well, they both have those massive jaws, and they both have them teeth, and they both can take your life. I believe crocodiles might be a little bit more aggressive, and they account for more human fatalities than the alligator does around the world.
The crocodile's more dangerous?
Yeah, I'd say they're a little bit more dangerous than an alligator. I'd rather handle an alligator any day of the week, more so than any crocodile known.
Okay, and I won't even make a sex joke about the gator or the crocodile because you said they got 80 teeth. They may not have a sense of humor, right?
No, they're both, the croc and the alligator, they're both an animal that don't know how to bluff or laugh.
So I could play poker with them, couldn't I?
Yeah, they don't know how to bluff, so you could probably beat them every time in poker.
Yeah, but I can just see me winning a big pot and them getting on me and taking off my arm as a way of retribution.
We've had people lose fingers, things like that, and get bit real bad, end up in the hospital. I had a dead one put me in the hospital for 10 days.
Oh, my gosh. You got hurt by a dead alligator? How'd you do that?
I was walking through the swamp barefooted, and there was a dead alligator. I don't know why it was dead, but the thing was pretty much rotten, but underwater.
Mm-hmm.
I was probably about waist deep, and I stepped on this thing. And the next day, my whole leg swelled up. And,
oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it put me in the hospital for 10 days.
How long ago was this, Ed?
Oh, shoot, this is probably about, 15, 18 years ago.
Do you still go barefoot?
Yeah, a lot of times I will. Most of the time I wear my combat boots, but sometimes I do.
You like that muck between your toes or what?
Yeah, you can feel the alligators a lot better, especially if you brush up against one or one bumps into you.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm going to do right now after this show, everybody. I'm going to get barefoot and go out with Ed Woods in the swamp. We're going to be tickling the gators.
Yeah, one thing for sure, if that ever happens to you, the first thing you do, it's a lot like bees. The first thing you do is freeze.
Yeah.
Don't move. Hopefully they'll go on by. If you step on them and keep moving, they're going to bite.
Oh, good to know. Well, I got to tell you, my producer, Mark Winter, just typed me a little funny pun. Instead of going barefoot or combat boots, he's suggesting you should wear Crocs. What do you think?
Yeah. Crocs would work.
I never thought about that. That's a good one. Now, see, you never thought you were going to talk about poker playing with gators or wearing Crocs while you're in the swamp, did you, on this show?
No, we never thought of that. We have Croc blocks and things like that, but never thought about wearing Croc shoes,
Well, there you go. I may have just got you to be the new spokesman for Crocs. Who knows? Remember, it all happened here on the Oh Behave show.
Okay.
Hey, folks, we're listening and talking to an amazing guy by the name of Ed Woods. He is the star host of the new show you got to go see on National Geographic Wild. It's called Swamp Men. And we're going to learn more about gators and Ed right after we pay for this show. So sit and stay. We'll be right back.
Time for a walk on the red carpet, of course. Oh Behave will be back in a flash right after these messages.
Begging to hear more of your favorite show? Full episodes of all our shows are available on demand. Go to PetLifeRadio.com to fetch our entire lineup of Possum Pet podcasts. Also, dig us up in iHeartRadio and iTunes. Let's talk pets. Live and on demand only from Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Hi, this is Charlotte Ross. You have to listen to Arden Moore on Oh Behave on Pet Life Radio.
We're back from the lot. Just checked the paper and we had a record showing at the box. The letterbox, that is. Now back to Oh Behave. Here's Arden.
Welcome back to the Oh Behave show on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Arden Moore. I'm having a great time talking to Ed Woods. He knows everything about gators and all those critters that hang out in the swamps in South Florida and the Everglades. He is also on the new show you got to check out, Swamp Men. You can go to swampmen.com. And what's another way they can check out how to find out where it's playing and everything, Ed?
Swampmen.com, or go to Nat Geo Wild and look us up, and they'll have a lot of information there about what we do. And this is our second season. It just started. Our first season aired in May, and so this is like our second season, and they are pretty exciting. I can't believe some of the footage that they got, and like I said, those cameramen and women are fearless sometimes.
Well, there was an expression I saw, the nice thing about going to Swamp Men, you can see some little video clips just to whet your appetite, and pardon about the pun about whetting your appetite, because I wouldn't want to drink swamp water. But the thing about, got to help people understand, what is Alligator Alcatraz?
Well, Alcatraz is a 5 to 6 acre area that we take the biggest and baddest alligators inside Billy Swamp and throughout Big Cypress. We catch these big, nasty nuisance gators that are definitely a threat to humans, and we'll catch them up, and we put them inside this pristine area. And no longer do they ever have to worry about going to hunt for their food, because it's a 5, 6 acre habitat area that's perfect, prime alligator habitat. And of course, they get fed, and they're also caged in. They're in lockdown, where they're not a threat to humans anymore. And, of course, Florida law says anything over 4 foot, I believe that's their law, anything over 4 foot, nuisance alligator has to be destroyed. And so if it wasn't for Alcatraz, the gators in those areas would be destroyed.
And that's because of the Seminoles, right? The tribe?
That's right. The Seminole tribe, they make their own rules and their own laws, and so which I was really happy with. So that gave us a chance to go catch these 10, 12-foot alligators that could eat somebody very easily and want to, and we can go out and we catch these guys up and lock them down in Alcatraz where they'll live happily ever after.
Now, do they have little keys or cards to get in and out? No, they don't. How do you keep them in that area? I mean, do you tell them, like, sit, stay, good gator, good gator?
It's a fenced-off area where they can't get out, and you can't even hardly see the fenced area, but it's a pretty big area, and with a good food source, because they get fed, they're not going to want to leave anyway.
I don't know. If I was a gator, even though my brain's the size of a marble, I think I would sort of want to be a nuisance gator so I can go to, that's like gator heaven, it sounds like. I mean, let me think about it. I got to catch my own food, or I'll just go, like, throw some raspberries and scare some tourists, and I get caught and put into the, I'll give a fake little fight to Ed and his guys, and, oh my gosh, I'm in Gator Nirvana.
It's definitely gator heaven because they sure don't have to fend for their food anymore.
Yeah.
They'll just get big and lazy and live happily ever after. It's better than the Florida law and the outcome what that would be.
Oh, yeah. I'm just waiting for them to ask you to get a high-def TV so they can see their cousins on your show, Swampmen. You know, they might be starting to issue demands.
Yeah, they might.
Now, years ago when I lived in Florida, I don't know if you knew this, there was in Lantana, Florida, there used to be this bar. Now, we're not going to talk about my drinking, Ed, but they had gator races. Do people still do that? And that's probably a bozo no-no, but I remember we were betting on gators to run down these wooden chutes in the bar. Yeah. The little baby alligators. We're not talking 12-footers.
Yeah. I don't know if they still have gator races or not.
Now I know that's really not a good thing. I mean, I was dumb and young, but I was like amazed and just, they're so cute when they're little.
Oh, yeah. They're absolutely, I think most baby things are cute when they're little, but once again, though, they can, even when they're small, if they learn real quick to associate food with humans.
Right.
And, it's an alligator that has to be kept in captivity its whole life, or be caught out there in the wild and being a nuisance gator, it gets destroyed.
Now, one of your segments, you had the baby alligators that you all, I think there was 11 of them, that you were caring for about a year, your team. And it was an episode where you were trying to release them into the wild. And what happened?
Well, those baby gators came from a big bull gator's pen that we call Trump. He's about a 12.5-foot alligator that probably weighs about 500-600 pounds. And there was a female in there, and she laid a nest, and the babies hatched. And so we had to go inside this Trump's enclosure to get these babies. And, of course, he didn't like it, neither did Mama Gator. But we gathered them up because if we didn't, Trump would have ate every one of them. And we gathered them up, and we kept them for about a year. Well, it came time to release them, and Shay and Matt and Lawrence, they went out to go release them, and they picked out a nice area. And as soon as they released them, other alligators came over that were in the wild real quick to start munching down on the, 12-inch babies. 12.
Why do they want to eat their own? I mean, seriously, what's going on? Why do gators eat their own?
Everything likes to eat baby gators. Bass, there are a lot of different fish, birds, other alligators. And the only thing that won't eat a baby alligator is mama. And
wow.
Mama gator won't eat her own. But as soon as they turned them loose, the other, like 4-foot alligators and everything that they didn't see came out of nowhere and wanted to start chomping down on them. And I think they got one of the babies, so it didn't take Shay, Matt, or Lawrence very long. They decided to jump back in the water and snatch up these little babies, and they moved them to another location.
Wow, I saw that. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they're getting in the water with hungry gators. Now, you said you don't move fast, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You make yourself boring as possible? I mean, what's the deal with gators?
If you brush up against one, you need to freeze. Don't move, because you probably get bit if you try to, oh no, I want an alligator. Then you decide to try to get out of the area. That's probably a good way to get bit. Just freeze. The gator probably go right on by, especially if he's in the water. Now, obviously, if they're on top of the water, I mean, we that's how we catch them. We'll be chest deep in water, and we'll see them looking at them eye to eye, some of the bigger gators, and we'll catch them that way. We'll get a rope around them and bring them in.
When you're catching them, it seems like you would think like the big 12-footers would be sometimes harder, but from what I was seeing on swampmen.com, some of these juvenile are like 4 or 5 foot ones, kind of like the speed demons of gators. Why are they a little bit sometimes more challenging to grab?
I tell you what, the 5 and 6 foot alligators, the truth is I'd rather catch a 12, 13 foot alligator than rather catch them all day long. Of course, obviously they have one bite, and you could lose an arm or leg or whatever. But those 5 and 6 footers, 4 footers, 7 footers, 4 to 7 foot, they are so fast. And of course, they have the bite too to take a hand off or something like that.
Wow.
And, so they have the strength, the bite power to do a lot of damage, and then add lightning fast on top of it. And there you go. You got a perfect storm to get hurt real bad.
You must like gators, though, too. I mean, there's a reason there's all kinds of critters on this planet. So if you could be the public relations guru for gators, what would you say that you like best about them?
I like them because they were here when the dinosaurs were here, and they survived just by pure instinct. And without them, if you took all the alligators out of the Florida Everglades, you'd have a whole ecosystem that would just perish. And they're like the life link to the Florida Everglades. And of course, I love all of God's creatures, no matter how big or small or how ugly or mean. And they're all unique in everything. All of God's creatures, everything works hand in hand, and one works with the other. And to me, for all the creatures, they are what put the beauty into the land. And but alligators, if you wipe them out in the Everglades, they're the ones during the dry seasons, like right now. They wall out gator holes so they can stay in water and have something to swim in. And of course, when all the water dries up, the gator holes still have water. And, of course, the other animals come up to drink out of them gator holes. Of course, it's also perfect choice for alligators to choose what they want to eat. And but at the same time, they're also keeping all the animals supplied with water. So take out the alligators, and if they were no more, the gator holes wouldn't be there, and the animals wouldn't have water during dry season.
Well, that's a really good point. Now, the other question, there's a myth or fact. I have been told, I've done the Loxahatchee Trail and all these other things, and sometimes you'll see gators up on levees, and they're just kind of sunning themselves. And someone said if you come across a gator face-to-face on land, you're supposed to run in a zigzag. True or false, Ed?
I've heard that. Most of the time, an alligator, if he starts to run, he's going to run to go straight to the water. He's going to go from point A to point B, a straight line. And they're pretty quick. I mean, they're really fast. But I've never seen an alligator run after a human to bite them. I've seen alligators run from the bank into the water to get away from humans. But we've never had one run after us.
Okay.
We've had them lunge at us, turn on us because we're beside them to try to bite us, and jump at us, jump up in the air. But I've never seen an alligator ever chase anybody.
Well, good.
We're in their water habitat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Never on land.
Oh, good. I'm glad to know that. I'm just
out with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, thousands of gators.
Wow. Well, when they're not eating their own young, what's a gator delicacy? What do they really love?
Normally, they'll eat something that they can swallow. So,
okay.
Like if you've got an 8-foot alligator, obviously an 8-foot alligator can't swallow a human unless it's really, 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 really hungry.
Okay.
Will it go after a human? Well, a lot of times, if you're neck deep in the lake and you're out there swimming and the 8-10-foot alligator attacks, you notice a lot of those attacks that occur is on the upper part of the body of the human, their head or shoulder or whatever, because that's all the gator can see, and that's all the size they think that meal is.
Oh.
When they grab hold of the human and the human starts fighting, the alligator realizes it's a lot bigger, and they'll let go. But
well, if they get my head, I don't know, Ed. I don't think I think I'm dead, Ed.
Yeah. Well, it happens, and
yeah.
That alligators will generally eat what they can swallow or go after what they can swallow, generally. Baby alligators like to eat minnows and insects and things like that. When they get bigger, they start going after bigger fish or possums or snakes and things like that. And then, of course, as they get bigger, now they're looking at deer and hogs and things like that. Dogs, if they're around. Dogs aren't immune. Even if it's not a nuisance alligator, dogs are still fair game.
Now, do you have any regular pets like dogs or cats or anything, Ed?
I have, but at this time right now, I don't have any pets. And I was responsible for about 1,600 animals down there. I'll be headed to Alaska in different areas of the country and maybe different parts of the world. And so right now, I don't have any animals. But if I did have any animals, it would be chickens. Chickens?
We're talking to Ed Woods. He's the host of the show Swamp Men. Chickens. What up with chickens, Ed?
Chickens, I got so much to tell you about chickens. They're the only animal on God's earth that gives back to you every day. It ain't a one-time thing where you grow them up and then you eat them, you know. They'll give you eggs every day and things like that. And usually a hen is good for about 6-7 years. And then after that, when she quits laying eggs, then you eat them.
Okay.
They give a gift every day. And, you know, it's just one of the things. Chickens, I think, is the best pet. Not only that, most food tastes like chicken anyway.
That's right, except gator tastes a little greasy, right?
Yeah, gator has its own taste. Kind of tastes a little bit like frog legs, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we say goodbye? I've really enjoyed. I want people to dash over to swampmen.com. Got to go see the show, Swamp Men. It airs every Monday on the National Geographic Wild? Is that correct?
Yep, the Nat Geo Wild channel, and 10 o'clock on Mondays, and they show different times during the week and things like that. And go check out Swamp Men. We are doing what we do every day in life, and they got it on camera, and we deal with all kinds of critters and things like that.
Well, we definitely would like to have you back on, Ed, because this show is too short to really get into all the things that you do, but I've had a great time, and I'm still dry. I don't even smell like a swamp, so I think that's a success, right?
I think so. Of course, you know, for us men, the more swampy or animal smell that you smell like, the more manly you smell, so the women really like that.
Oh, you know what, Ed? We've already got you hooked up with Crocs. I think we got to have Swamp Men cologne. There you go. There's your next venture.
My favorite is Musk of Wild Boar.
I'm so glad this is a radio show and I don't have to scratch and sniff and smell that. Oh, my gosh. We could get in serious trouble, Ed, if we stayed on this much longer, but I better behave. The show's called Oh Behave, after all. And I'm really delighted you have been on the show. We're talking to Ed Woods. He is the host of Swamp Men on National Geographic Wild. You got to check it out, guys. He knows what he's doing when it comes to gators and other critters in the swamp. And he loves chickens. So the guy's cool. So I also wanted at this time to thank my cool producer, Mark Winter. He makes the show happen each and every week. So until next time, this is your flea-free host, Arden Moore, delivering just 2 words to all you 2, 3, and 4-leggers out there, including you nuisance gators. Oh, behave.
Coast to coast and around the world, it's Oh Behave with Arden Moore. Find out why cats and dogs do the things they do and get the latest buzz from wagging tongues and tails in Rin Tin Tinseltown. From famous pet experts and best-selling authors to television and movie stars, you'll get great tail-wagging pet tips and have a fur-flying fun time. All Behave with America's pet edutainer, Arden Moore. Every week on demand. This is the place for a special paparazzi treat. Only on PetLifeRadio.com.